I thought maybe this might be an interesting way to approach it. I was going to comment how I felt about people with money when I was younger, when I was a kid, because I would say probably all of us are much more refined now and have kind of tamed like what we were like as children when we saw people with money. And for me, when I saw people with money, I wanted to be close to it because it's the currency of happiness that we're taught as a kid. Like you have money, you can buy as much candy, you can go to Disneyland, you can do whatever the heck you want. And you think all of these material things in life make you awesome and happy. And so for me, I wanted to have rich friends because then, maybe they can take me on a cool trip or I get to go to fancy restaurants or whatever. It was cool for me to be aligned with that. And I also had a critical eye on them of, I wonder if I can analyze maybe their parents, how their parents got this money, or if they act different because they have this money. So it was very intriguing to me to analyze what I viewed as rich people. And then another viewpoint, when I was in grade school, I moved around a lot. I went to a Catholic school and then I went to a public school and then I went to another Catholic school all like before high school. And I had a weird upbringing where I was exposed to poverty and I was also exposed to upper middle class life. So with my parents, I was looking at poverty like to the point of like um the water would not be running sometimes, or there's a two-bedroom house with three kids and two adults living in it, or not even a house, an apartment. So, and then on the flip side, I had my wonderful grandparents. My grandfather was a lawyer who supported my brother and I very well. And when I went to Catholic schooling, my grandfather had taken me to buy nice basketball shoes because he was a big basketball person and he wanted me to have nice basketball shoes. And so one of the first impressions they had of me was that I was a rich kid, and they treated me disdainfully because of this. Um, and that was frustrating. So I think at some point in my life, I didn't want it to seem like I had a lot of money to anybody. Even when I'm with rich crowds, um, I don't want to seem like I'm rich. So it kind of, in my mind, it became more negative to come off as a rich person.
I relate to those things. I know what you mean. It's a really interesting point of view. I mean, I take a little bit of a different perspective about, like, I think you have the most likable perspective. It is good social intelligence to not brag about money, not act like you have much, and just be the person that's chill with whatever. I don't need much. That is more likable than someone's like, actually, I have a high standard. I need to like stay in a Ritz-Carlton when we travel. Do you mind if I stay there while you stay in the tent and go camping? Like that would really alienate you. I try to lean into what's true about me though, and I do like nice things that cost money. That's only one aspect. That's nowhere near as important as my relationships or my health. But I do like that, and so I'm in this divergence in my life where I'm like, I need to be honest and say that I like acquiring money, and I like the things that money gives, and I really care about the pursuit of truth. I care about close friendships, and those two things are a bit at odds. They are certainly not directly compatible, but I doing a grand experiment of my life to try to make them both work. So I'm not doing what you say, Maddie. I could lie, and it really would be lying to just be like, oh yeah, I'm just so chill with that, or I don't need much. I do need much. Not need, I could survive, but I would be pretty pissed about it if I like lost all my money or something. Uh, so I'm just gonna have to see how those things go, but they're all governed by truth, which I think is an overarching North Star for me. I'm curious, Maddie, would you be, let's say you had a lot of money, would you ever experiment with just being like, yeah, this is me, this is my life, I don't need to lord that over you or anything, I want to help, but yeah, I've got money.
Um, what do you mean? Like, what would I do with it, or would I think more of myself, or
No, would you admit it? Would you be comfortable making that part of your external truth that people know about, or would
um,
you always need to hide it to relate to people better?
that's a good question. The thing is I do like expensive things. Literally, I have expensive taste. I like high quality foods and like dining experiences. Not too much, but like I hate I hate fast food restaurants. Like I look down on them. I don't want to go to them. Um, but yeah, I think it would be hard for me to flaunt. Um, when I dress, I sometimes like to buy nice things, but not because it has a big like Gucci label on it or something like that, because I like it and I know it's good quality. So it would be hard for me to flaunt it and feel comfortable. And I think a lot of that also was very much so refined this summer at yoga teacher training, because I used to crave and really want money my whole entire life. Even in my early adulthood, I went to school for international business and French, fully intending to be a businesswoman and to make more and more money as my career went on, with that being the main goal, was making money. And it became a huge shift for me. I think I realized really early in my young career life that a traditional 9 to 5, at least at this time, is not for me. That money is not buying me happiness when I'm working a 9 to 5 in an office and I feel like I'm dying day in and day out, my
Yeah.
soul. So I think at this point in my life, where yoga has taught me you need to not overindulge yourself with anything, you need to not have any attachments to anything, that yes, it would be difficult for me to make it a part of my identity that I'm rich, and for people to know about it.
Curious for you two guys how you would respond to that. Could you come to peace with money being a part of your identity, even a narrow part, or would it need to be hidden, essentially
I
lied about?
I don't think I would lie about it because I'm the kind of I've always been a saver. I've always been someone because I grew up with parents that did not do the best with money, and they'd have to borrow money from me sometimes as a child to
Whoa.
pay for bills. Like my dad would say, "Hey, we don't have any money for groceries. I need $50," and okay. Um, and so I've always been someone who's been working. I started working when I was 12 years old, cleaning an Airbnb. And then it's just kept going and I've been saving. And so I'm someone who works really hard because I want to have my basics covered, but I also really care about the people around me. And I want them to feel taken care of too. And so I'm going into a career. So from what it looks like, and I have a big company that wants to pay me more money than my mom and pretty much my dad has ever made right out of college.
Huh.
And it's not rich at that point, but it's only going up. And to me, I don't want to hide it because I think that would be inauthentic. And I'm very much the same as Maddie, where I don't buy a lot of things. I'm very minimalistic, but I buy things that last. So maybe it's going to be an expensive jacket, but it'll last me for 10 years. But I want to be the person that can care about others. And if that means they need some help financially, I want them to be able to come to me and say, hey, I kind of need some help. Because I've had people in my life that have been able to help me financially. For example, there was a period of time where my dad didn't have a job for like I don't know, I think this time was like 9 months, and we were in Texas, and we had friends that were very, very wealthy, and they let us live in their vacation house. And for that, we weren't homeless. We weren't living in a car. We weren't, all those things. So we were living in this ginormous 3-story home. And my parents were both, my mom was working at a grocery store, and we were struggling to make ends meet, like to pay for groceries without even rent. And so I want to be the person that does well because I've worked really hard for it. And I do think I will make a lot of money in my life, but I'm also the person that I want to use that money to help people I care about and help others feel secure. Because I would be very unhappy if I had all this money, and I think I cannot see myself thinking, oh, I'm really rich. I'm gonna go get a BMW, and then I'm gonna go to Louis Vuitton. It's great if you want to do that, but I would be unhappy.
So you're never going to get a BMW?
I don't think so. I mean, to me, I I'm kind of not a car person. I'd rather get an electric car or something, because to me cars depreciate. If I'm going to do something nice, it would be, I have a goal of at some point I want to buy a little house in Nice. So I can go when I have time, and my mom can go, and anybody who needs time away to go on vacation can just use that house. And that's something, I want to do with my money that I feel like can help a lot more people than just a car. But BMWs are great. I think they're amazing. Like, oh, that's a nice car. But for me, I would be too worried. Oh, I'm gonna hit that curb and then it's gonna be scratched and I can't live in it.
Huh. I want to let Ethan jump in if
Yeah.
there is something, but I have a lot of reactions to what you're saying. It's interesting. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm going to come back, but I guess to answer the question, I think maybe like you, Evan, that's something that would take deliberate effort on my part, and something that I think it would be best if I can cultivate a little bit of that. I don't. I'm not going to make very much. I'm going to continue making. I mean, I'm paying for grad school now and won't make any money for at least 7 years or so. After that, it kind of depends on what kind of career choices I make. But it was interesting, Maddie, what you were saying growing up about this kind of like experience growing up, and it's just really interesting to me how different mine were, and I think really unhelpful to me. And Evan, I agree with you that kind of what Maddie was saying is kind of like a very, I don't know, socially sound worldview, and I think mine is not. But like when I was a kid, like I would get an allowance and I never spent a cent of it. I mean, like it was like once a month or something. I would buy a soda on the way home from school. And that was like a thing. And that was it. And like I was really pretty extreme. Like I was a bit of like a hoarder as a child. Like I would not throw things out. And like I don't know, I just had this like anxiety about it. And like it's like to the point that like now I've like loosened up a bit, but it's like sometimes I like have to force myself. Like I sometimes think to myself, like I sometimes like force myself to spend money on something, because I think like, Ethan, you need to like stop being so like obsessive about this and like so like strict. But it's like then another person's like, what the hell is wrong with you? You're like making this into like work or something when it's supposed to be enjoyable. And like why I think my life would probably be better and my relationships would probably be better if I like did not have that anxiety about it and was just like had like a more attitude of like wanting to enjoy what I can enjoy. And I expect that as I grow older, this will probably become more complicated or like, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's going to grow into interesting conversations between you and whoever your future partner is.
Yeah, because that's not how I want to be. I mean, that's nothing That's not like what I value. I like people who are pretty not so analytical, not so fussy about everything. And I wish that I was less so. And I wish I could spend more on something without thinking about, without like doing the math of like where that comes from, or like what other things that it's like, oh, you spent this much on this. If you hadn't, then you could, if you spend, think about how many weeks of, or think about how many normal groceries you're spending on this one dinner out. Like, I do think my life would be better if I could sometimes just not do the math.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'm
then
very
and
much
if I
the
have
same.
kids, that's not how I want to raise my kid.
Right.
Sorry, Grace.
Oh no, I was just saying I very much relate to that because I would work and I would save all my money, and then if we needed groceries, then obviously go for that. But I would never spend it on anything. And then I realized I have so much money at such a young age and I'm not spending it. And I'm not a spender. I'm really not. I'm very frugal. But what I started to do was I started to go get myself a coffee out once a week, which in my mind is completely wasteful because I can make coffee at home. But it was an exercise to say you can get nice things for yourself, a nice coffee from a local place. And I think, okay, maybe, and also something that helped me spend money more is I'm not perfect. I have an Amazon account, but I try to buy everything I can from small businesses, small grocery stores. So when I'm spending money, I feel less about, oh my gosh, this is coming out of this and this. And it's more, this money I'm spending is helping this small family keep their livelihood. And that's great. And I'm happy to give them my money.
Huh.
I feel the same exact way. I really resonate with both of you. I'm such a saver my whole life. I started working when I was 14 and saved. But there's been huge shifts over the past summer. The boyfriend that I had was the opposite of me. We went out for coffee every single day, which was crazy to me, but it's where we went to go do our work. And I've come into that space as well of I am paying back the community, I am contributing to this community. And then one last note is that I think part of the reason why I wouldn't want to flaunt that I have money, I don't think I would ever hide it because I'm not a good liar and I don't like to lie. I don't like to be inauthentic, but I wouldn't want to flaunt it because I would be nervous that people would start looking at me like money bags and start maybe associating me because they see or associating with me because they see money bags or they see some way that they can use me. So that's just one final note.